It's the people's voice with the conservative commentator, Adam Steveson.
His guest this week, Peter Downing. How you doing, Adam?
Good morning, James. I'm joining you guys here from Calgary.
Awesome. What are you doing in Calgary?
I'm going to go to the protest.
Your guest, Mr. Peter Downing.
Hey.
So what's on the talkable list of subjects today, Peter? What can you talk about?
Oh, I could talk about how Coke thinks I'm too white. I could talk about how, the whole white supremacist thing from showing up at the Christian rally this past weekend. I could talk about it was a Christian Jericho torch march. The account in Joshua chapter 6 of when the Israelites marched around the city of Jericho. It was a walled, fortified city with trumpets, and there was shouting and things like that. And then the walls crashed down. So sort of a symbol of God's ability to win victories for his people. And so they were using torches, which is another Old Testament, ironically, a very Hebrew, Semitic, Jewish symbol that they use as well. And everybody wanted to call them racist and anti-Semites, and it was all over the paper. And yeah, that's sort of the nexus that we're living in. And here is dealing with we are dealing with left-wing Nazism in Canada, in Alberta, and it's just how do you deal with it when your opponent does not tolerate your existence as a person? And okay, well, we won't have torches. What's next? Okay, we won't have church. What's next? And all within the context of COVID. So that's sort of the zeitgeist right now. And I'll answer anything you want to talk about.
Now, you said that you had a problem with a large beverage manufacturing company.
Oh, it's Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, they put out a memo to their employees asking them to try to be less white.
Yeah, that's funny. Doesn't their ad have polar bears in it?
Yeah. That's pretty good. So I decided I was going to start talking like in early 90s, like the Wayans brothers. They're not white. So I was talking about Fly Girls today and getting jiggy with it. So some Will Smith stuff. So maybe I should mix it up, be a little bit Chinese, whatever, right? Figure something else out.
Yeah.
So
the Wayans brothers
did they actually say Caucasian, or what did they say?
Yeah, it says it's all over the internet. It's a popular thing now. It's they said to their employees it was kind of a diversity thing, but try to be less white. So
I wonder
that's where you are. That's where you work is Coke.
No, I don't work for Coca-Cola.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you were talking about.
I wonder if Coca-Cola realizes that the majority of their market are people of Caucasian and European descent when they say things like that, right? Like the larger percentage of the purchasing power for their products is of European descent, right? It just seems like a bad business move to me, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe they're getting government subsidies to provide Coke to prisons or something like that. So who knows? Maybe the more of us that get thrown in jail, the more Coke that gets sold.
Possibly.
So then you had started the Alberta independence movement or something like that, and then you went with the Wild Rose Independence Party. And now, are you just as a consultant now, or what are you doing?
No. I'll kind of give you, like, if you think about building a house on rough ground, you got to dig out the basement, the foundation, lay concrete, all that kind of stuff. So that Wexit is it's the modern Western Canadian separatist movement, which is primarily Alberta focused. So from February or January actually of 2019 until it got really big after Justin Trudeau got re-elected in October 2019, that really solidified the idea of Western separation into the minds of right now. It's polling at 1 in 4, so 25% of Albertans would vote for separation today. And it goes up to 36% if it's co-branded with the other Western provinces. So that puts us into the movement in a sense, or a political party that represents the movement into majority territory in Alberta. Where it's at, so that foundation was laid, and then using the database and the people involved in Wexit, and there was a smaller party called the Freedom Conservative Party, we created a merger between the two parties into a registered party called the Wild Rose Independence Party of Alberta. But all while that was going on, there was a smaller independence party that happened to exist that when they came into existence, they knew they wanted independence, but they were kind of all over the place with their politics. Some people were conservative, some people were libertarian, some people were all pro-business people. You had other people saying, well, we're going to give all Alberta land back to the natives. It was all over the place. So they kind of went through their Survivor Island process, and now they've gotten to a place where they're basically conservative separatists, pro-Albertan, pro-separatist conservatives. So it's a little bit smaller than what the Wild Rose Independence Party of Alberta inherited. Wild Rose Independence Party is going through some of those same issues right now, that kind of Survivor Island stuff. So I've taken on a public safety critic role with the Independence Party of Alberta. So that smaller party, but that has that cohesion. Again, I'm not knocking the Wild Rose Party, which I created, but right now, sort of where it's at is now there's the freedom of movement to really step into the space and to be really relevant when it comes to issues of lockdowns, masks, and people's individual freedoms. You know, we talk about independence primarily as a separatist thing. I like to say to people, hey, remember when you used to have a job? Remember when you were independent?
Right.
So there's a development of the political concept of independence and what it really means, and just the depth that it's already penetrated the Alberta psyche. So it's just a matter of helping people understand that that's really what we're talking about here.
Right.
Now, the Wild Rose Independence Party, they already have political party status. So they
both parties do. Both parties do.
What was the Wild Rose Independence Party before? Was it just a shell party, or what was it?
Well, it was a small party. I like to talk.
It was Freedom. It was Freedom.
Yeah, Freedom Conservative.
Okay.
I like to talk about it sort of like the salad and the salad bowl. They had the salad. The Freedom Conservative Party had the salad bowl. Wexit had the salad, so we kind of filled it up.
So now you're with the Alberta Independence Party.
Yeah, they've renamed to the Independence Party of Alberta, and part of the problem here is that the independence movement, independence people in general are quite independent minded, and we're not very good at listening to one another or getting along. And so that's been the majority of the work that's been put into bringing this movement together. Now, I was able to bring together, again, I had a very prominent role, and other people are involved too. I don't want to take credit with it, but I brought together Wexit and Wild Rose Independence Party. Now that's a thing, at least they're there. We've got over here, we got the Independence Party of Alberta. Alberta Advantage Party is kind of going in a little bit different way. I don't want to get into it too much or get into the weeds too much. But the only way a party, regardless of, everybody thinks they're right, and that's why they do what they do. So the only way that Wild Rose Independence Party has an incentive to merge with the Independence Party of Alberta is if the work is done to bring the Independence Party of Alberta up to the same level. And because I brought that party up to that level, again, with other people, now I know how to do the same thing with these guys as well. And again, the thing that's really important to me, because I am a conservative separatist, is that I'm working with other conservative separatists. And so that's actually been, since that merger happened in June of 2020, and I've been dealing with nothing but political bickering and bullshit from these groups over here, is to work with a party like the Independence Party, who are simply conservative separatists, is a real breath of fresh air. And until the political scene in Alberta gets consolidated, then I'm not even able to do the work that I want to do, doing the same thing at the federal level, creating the Bloc Québécois of Alberta.
So the Wild Rose Independence Party is right at center, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right at center. But I mean, you've got PPC people who want to save Alberta, and or save Canada. You got separatists who want to leave. It's kind of a problem.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not just that, because as Adam knows me, it's only honesty hour. The other side is that we could both say we want to separate today, literally. But if somebody's not getting their full corner of the garden, the tool shed, if they're not getting their own particular thing or their own particular comeuppance or their own particular position, they will put literally, and I've seen this in politics since, I mean, I'm an ex-military I'm an ex-army guy and an ex-police guy, and literally you do what you do to get the job done under pressure situations. You don't think about yourself until maybe you're looking for a promotion down the road. In that situation, you're trying to solve the problem. That type of politicking and that human nature, I mean, it's there. It's in politics. It was in the police, but not when you're dealing with an emergent situation. And I think that politically we are dealing with an emergent situation. So and again, it's just human nature. And the reason why I think people don't get anything done in politics is because they confuse the public self-interest with their own self-interest. And that's why they don't get the results. So while another party might be sitting around and kind of going through their bloodletting process, I'm working with a cohesive organization, and I'm going to do what I can to help, the team shoot the lights out, put pucks in the net.
Well, that's exactly what needs to happen, right? All these sort of Western separatist conservative movements, even if the Albertans from PCP could come into the fold, if we could really sort of join all of those together, we'd really have a fighting chance against Jason Kenney with the UCP.
Yeah,
and
it's
Notley with the NDP. And
it's hard though. It's hard though, because take somebody like me who says Alberta's got 34 seats in the House of Commons, and put me right beside a guy who might be a Christian libertarian like I am. I'm a Christian libertarian.
Yeah,
I don't care what other people do. Don't interfere with my life. And at the same time, I expect you, just like I'll fight for your economic freedom, you can fight for my religious freedom too. There are anti-Christian libertarians who literally crap their pants and throw a complete temper tantrum anytime you say anything traditional. This stuff that people say,
that's not libertarian.
We got to put the torches away because of what the political left think about us. Hey, why don't we? How about this? Why don't you never say that again? We'll never negotiate with the political left, because the problem with libertarians sometimes is that they only care about their restaurant. They don't care about the churches. They don't care about the parents. They don't care about,
absolutely.
We could do the full spectrum. You're either a libertarian or you're not a libertarian.
Yeah.
There's no ways about it.
When you look at that from the outside, right, you're looking at them and you're like, well, if you're a libertarian, that means sort of I'll do me and you do you, I'll let you do your thing. But if they're criticizing and coming down on churches and Christians and pastors for whatever reason, or anybody else for whatever reason, well, then you're not really a libertarian anymore, right?
No, you're a special interest. That's what you are.
Exactly.
Back in the day, there used to be a thing called right-wing liberals.
Yeah.
Blue liberals.
Yeah, that would basically be me. I mean, you look at that the development of the term conservative, liberal. And conservative really means conservative to the establishment. The reality is I'm a Christ supremacist.
Yeah.
And by the way, I've got many different colors of skin. So, it's not about white supremacy in any way. It's made up. And guess what? It's like, I didn't know how that rally was going to turn out. I didn't know it was like the cops going to be on the side of the protesters, the Antifas. But I'll tell you one thing. When I walked through that crowd, we got caught up on the wrong side. So when me and my buddies came, because I was speaking, we were on the other side where all the Antifas were. And they tried to block us and stuff. I'm just like, get out of my way, Muppet. And we came on up, and we didn't care. We just walked on through. But after seeing the animalistic, atavistic, and the key word is atavistic, the atavistic hatred that those people had for us, they're not reasonable, and nor should we ever reason with them. We simply have to win. Yeah, it's either one of us. Either we're getting locked up or they're going away. One of the two. There is no negotiating with those people. There's no negotiating with the media that spout their lies. There's no negotiating with the politicians that perpetuate that stuff. And this is, after seeing all that, the next project I'm starting as a registered political action committee, third-party advertiser with Elections Alberta, is called the Alberta Jericho March. And it really is meant to encapsulate that ethic of Christian liberty, unfailing. Support our pastors. We support David Pawlowski, who got taken away. 100%. We're not being ashamed of our friends anymore. And we're going straight for Jason Kenney. Now they're passing recall legislation. I'm going to collapse his social conservative base one way or another. And he's not getting reelected. we're going to split the vote. And I'd rather see the NDP get in because I would rather deal with an honest enemy than a fake friend.
Now, what a couple two things. I don't know if we have enough time. I'm interested in the culture of the Independence Party of Alberta. And I'm interested in what your being public policy, what your main thing is.
Yeah, the best thing to do, I mean, I can say, from what I'm able to say, is that we're separatist conservatives. You could look at it as like, okay, Christian libertarians, or at least a pro-Christian culture, or at least not an anti-Christian culture for those because we have people who are not religious. We have we got people of the LGBT community. We've got non-white people. Like what?
Who's the leader? Who's the leader?
It's the good person test. It's the good person test. So there's no official leader of the party. David Campbell is the president, and people have different there are other people who've taken Critic portfolios. I've taken the public safety Critic portfolio. I think I've got something to say about that. I spent 11 years combined as an Army officer and a police constable with the RCMP. So it's kind of what I do and what I criticize. And right now we had a guy with tattoos all over his face, violent assaults. I think sex assaults. I'm not quite sure. Just get released from jail, and now he's a public safety threat. And we got the pastor. We got the pastor in remand, right?
So you're going to campaign in there with the Independence Party of Alberta.
100%.
Oh.
Like I said, I've accepted a public safety Critic portfolio with them, and I'm a member. There's. Are you
going to run?
Yeah, I mean, do you want me to run?
Why not? Where do you live?
Run?
Yeah.
No. I mean, are you going to run in the election? Are you going to run in the election?
Hey, if I was a leader, should I start saying the stuff that we've been saying here at like the actual interview, like the live televised debate?
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be fun. I'm just kidding. I'm not running for leadership. That's not the intent. The intent, simply put, is to get the party at a place where it creates the incentive for the Wild Rose Independence Party for the merger, because you've got UCP MLAs, Drew Barnes, Angela Pitt, Jason Steveson, a few other people who've criticized Jason Kenney openly. These people know they're getting their nominations rigged. They're not going to be representing the UCP the next time around. So we got to give those people a safe spot to land if they want to cross the floor, or if they want to, represent the patriotic, freedom-loving Albertans.
Yeah.
Philibrandt.
Derek, what's Derek doing?
He runs the Western Standard newspaper, the online newspaper.
He's not IPA?
No. He runs the paper.
Okay. So he's not RIP or nothing. Okay.
No.
So what's coming up?
That would be tough for him, because there's a lot of Wild Rose Independence Party paid ads on the Western Standard, so that might be tough for him. But
so what's up then for the Independence Party of Alberta? What's next for you guys?
Oh, we're talking. I think we got lots of ideas kicking around. I'll tell you what, you'll be one of the first ones to know once we execute it. But I've got a certain knack of being able to get media attention. You do something shocking and edgy and somewhat polarizing, and you get cameras showing up. So I'll let Adam know once we're ready to do that. But I don't know how much I could say, because I've got confidentiality things that I got to abide by. But yeah, it'll be fun.
Some political action. What about on the party front? You got policy conferences?
If you want to go to abindependence.com, so AB is in Alberta, Alpha Bravo, then Independence. .com, you can see that. The big thing that Albertans care about, they care about 5 things. And there's only 5 things, and I'll tell you the exact order that they care about them. Healthcare, economy, education, public safety, taxation. And so the Independence Party, independence in general, satisfies those things better than any of the establishment or federal parties ever could.
I'd like to add individual liberty to the top of that list, maybe too.
Yeah, you're going to, well, if you look at, say, the American Constitution, if you say these are what we're going to do, the 5 things, by definition of what you say that what Albertans agree to, if it's not there, government's got no role in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if it's not a matter of healthcare, economy, education, public safety, or taxation, again, what makes sense to actually fulfill all that the above four, then by definition, we leave you alone.
Yeah. Let's talk about the media for a couple minutes and what they've been saying about the protest.
They are prostitutes.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah. It's just ridiculous what Notley and the media and Kenny and everybody have been saying. All of them. City News, Global News, CTV News, CBC News, Rachel Notley, Kenny and others in his party. They've all smeared that rally as a racist torch rally and a symbol of white supremacy and all this. But the funny thing is Artur Pawlowski, the guy who organized the rally, quite literally builds orphanages for African children in Africa with his own money from his own pocket and his own two bare hands. And right? These guys are calling him a racist.
Hey, I could turn my phone around. I could turn my phone around right now and show you my three kids who aren't white. So my wife's not white. I mean, these people are idiots. They are brainwashed freaks. And I've heard nothing but the most racist stuff coming from them about me and my family. I
just can't believe it, man. And you look at the rally and you look at the speakers who were there. There was 2 or 3 Christian black pastors. 2 of them were speakers. There was a Native woman who was a pastor who spoke. There's some other girls who are involved in the organization who are Indigenous. Like how is this a white supremacist rally?
Because if you a couple of reasons. Let's think about Islamic terrorism. Let's also think about what Karl Marx taught. And for anybody who's got any level familiar, and I mean, it's not like I've read Das Kapital or the Communist Manifesto, but I've read criticisms of Marx by economists who were a little bit more contemporary back in the 1940s. Peter Schumpeter, whatever it is, I can't remember the last name, but basically economics and socialization are the same for them. So if there was colonialism, and this is kind of one of those things about understanding your enemy. You can understand them, you can beat them better. Is you've got the colonialization and literal white, Euro geopolitical dominance, right? Which turned into slavery and colonialism, all that stuff. So that's a thing. But then there's the economic structure that we have right now. And if you look around the world, unless, that movie came out about Crazy Rich Asians, it's mostly white countries that are you just look at the G7, right? Except for Japan, maybe. It's white countries that are kind of at the top. So they look at it like economics and social is the same to them. So you can have that. They can literally call a black person a white supremacist because maybe they hold up the free market. Yeah. And that sort of explains where they're coming from.
Yeah. And in the words of Karl Marx and that kind of thing, the only way to sort of create the level playing field utopia that they see in their eyes is to take the people who have and tear them down. Not people who don't have and build them up. Whereas on the other side, everybody has equal opportunity, and it's our responsibility, the haves, to help build the other ones up.
Let me throw another curveball at you a little bit. Think about people who become Muslim, Islamic terrorists in Western countries. They're not typically the immigrant, they're not typically mom and dad who came over from Pakistan or from Arab country or Lebanon or wherever. I mean, in Alberta, just as an example, Islamic migration is right around 1900s, and really it didn't become a thing with us until September 11th. That only kind of crept into our consciousness then, the division between Muslims and non-Muslims. But the people who were becoming the terrorists were the kids, and they were kids who got it. They didn't quite fit in school. They go to jail, and they sort of get this counterculture, but they attach to this idea. And don't get me wrong, I don't care if somebody is Muslim, they go to mosque, they do their thing, brotherhood of man, no problem. But like I say, I don't care what your religion is. And most people, it's like Catholics, like even Protestants, we don't really know what the Bible says or what the Pope says or what the Vatican teaches. We're just people. We're just people who typically grow up in it. So The reason why I bring that up is the same thing with the socialists. If you look at Antifas, they are losers, but it's the fact that they're losers which gets them drawn into something that gives them a social validation. Now, I'll say something else. This might not be very popular. Look at the political right, and you look at the patriot groups. You look at 3%, or you look at guys who are wearing leather. I started a veterans organization. I went for a different reason, but I could just as easily switch to denim or something. I don't actually care. But people who are marginalized tend to get attracted to extreme things, because those extreme things, they need recruits. So again, that's another part of understanding why things are the way that they are, and then we can start to deal with it. But what you can't do is you can't expect that you're going to deal with, whether it's the politicians, the media, or the activists, based on logic alone, because all three of them are working for the corporations who make super money, whether it's through the big tech, through surveillance, or the big box stores through driving out all the other small business through the pretext of COVID. They're all there. It's like a three-legged stool: the politicians, the activists, and the press. But on top is the super industrial capitalists. And the irony of all this, the point I want to leave you with, is we are free market liberty guys. We're actually more socialist. Like, Adam, we know each other personally. Is if I needed something, you would just do it for, and likewise, we'd help each other out. We would share, and it wouldn't be an issue of, you pay me back with interest and stuff like that. We literally will give the shirts off our back to people in need. And so that's within the church. You really see that ideal, what the socialists talk about, of democratic socialism. We actually live that out voluntarily on a daily basis without the government telling us. Then you've got the anti-capitalist left. They are, they're working for George Soros, capitalist of the capitalist, international, global, no loyalty to any person or government or country or spirit or anything. It's what the Bible says. The love of money is the root of many evils. Some translations say the root of all evil. So there's so many contradictions in our world. I find it really amusing to discover these things and to sort of bring it out. I don't have much of a filter, so I just talk about it, and it becomes a cool thing because people have to react to it. But it's the truth.
Yeah. The difference between socialism and kind of what we think and believe is that socialism is government mandated. We're going to force you to share. We're going to take what's yours, what you've worked and you've earned for. We're going to tell you how much you have to share.
Yeah.
We're going to take it from you at the barrel of a gun and then distribute it. Whereas
it's such a disgusting, godless, materialistic ideology.
Yeah.
But it becomes completely free and liberating when you're doing it because you're free to do so. And so the scriptures say, where the Lord is, there, where the Spirit of God is, there is freedom. So I don't mind living like a socialist, just as long as it's not the government telling me, and then I'm not giving money to them so they can send the money.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference, right? Is because socialism is mandated and forced. And in our sense, it's encouraged for us to help build the other person up, to give charitably and that kind of thing. It's encouraged, but it's not forced. And that's the difference, right?
We have it within us. We have that spirit within us that says, we love God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength. We love our neighbor as ourselves, and we love one another within the church, just as Jesus loved and laid down his life for us. And we just do it because that's the spirit within us, based on the love of God and Christ willing to lay down his life in such a horrible, painful, degrading way for us. Right. We'll live out of love for those who he seeks to save as well.
Absolutely. 100%.
Awesome. That's good. That's good. It's been the People's Voice with the conservative commentator, Adam Steveson, and his guest, Peter Downing, former leader of Wexit, and now the public policy critic for the Independence Party of Alberta. Thanks, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks for having me. God bless you both.
Have a good
night. Take it easy, Peter.
Bye-bye.
It's the people's voice with the conservative commentator, Adam Steveson.